Hello, Allison.
Hello, how are you doing?
I am doing okay. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Getting over being sick, but you know.
Oh no, I didn't know
Other
you
than
were
that,
sick.
it's fine.
I hope it's significantly better then. Okay, so
A little
sorry.
bit.
So it has started posting our video.
Hello,
That's good.
how are you doing?
Oh my god, I hate doing that. There we go. Okay, so that works. That's good. Wait a minute. So one disadvantage I'm seeing to this way is that I can't immediately tag our names in it.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah. Which I think was a good thing to have, so...
It was nice.
Yeah, so not having that kind of sucks. I don't know if there's an easy way to get around that. It doesn't look like it. Unless... Okay, I can edit it. So in the end, it's not really that much more efficient.
Interesting experiment, though.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Oh,
Hello.
Erica's computer is blowing up apparently.
I saw.
Cool. I love computers, as you know.
Oh, I love computers so much. So much. They always work exactly how you want them to. And don't have any obtuse like solutions to problems.
Yep.
All just very straightforward.
Sigh.
You know what's hilarious is there are people who would be like, wait, you didn't try to set your CPU priority as the first thing? What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, you nerd.
I tried in-game solutions.
No, I'm not. I am not saying that, to be clear.
I know.
Because it is obtuse and ridiculous that would be a solution.
Yeah.
For trials, I had to go. It was apparently using my laptop's integrated graphics instead of a graphics card. So I was like, why is this so bad? Like, why does this look horrible? And it's so sluggish. And then I was like, oh, you're using integrated graphics instead of my NVIDIA card. So
That's very good.
My first laptop had a switch to turn on the graphics
Whoa,
card.
it had a Switch?
Oh.
Like a Nintendo?
Yeah, I had a Nintendo Switch back in like 2011.
Wow.
Wow. It's cool.
It had a... What did it have? It had like a the physical switch to push to turn on the dedicated graphics card.
That's so weird.
That is
That
weird.
is weird.
I think it was like to save power and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, my old laptop had a switch like that for the network, but definitely not for graphics.
Well, there's a time when you didn't need a graphics card to run like everything, you know? Now graphics cards, like your Chrome pulls from your GPU.
Alright, so once Erica's here, we can probably get this pony a-rolling.
Yes, I am here. I'm just not on camera.
Oh, whoa, it's a ghost.
Yep.
It's very spooky. So, this new restream thing is kind of cool. It lets us see 4 different chat rooms in one place. Unfortunately, it's not that much more efficient, but we'll see if it's... I don't know, try it for the next few weeks.
Is it a Facebook feature or is it a feature from your streaming program?
From Restream, which is like a third-party kind of...
Ah, I haven't used it before.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So
Restream's
are we
great.
live on Mixer right now?
We are live on Mixer, Twitch, Facebook, and Steam.
Wait, what? On Facebook twice? What?
Yeah, one of which is just to my personal page, and then the other one is
Ah.
to the podcast page.
Gotcha.
So you're running a bootleg stream is what you're saying.
Yes.
You're stealing from us.
Give
Yes.
us a cease and desist.
Yeah, that's... This is like when ghosts started like attacking each other.
Ghosts?
The band?
Oh,
There's all that stuff.
Call of Duty. I thought you were referencing that hot Call of Duty story.
yeah,
No,
I thought
no.
so too. That's why I was
I
confused.
did not play that game, so
mean-
I don't know what happens in
Me
it.
neither.
Every time someone came to Toys R Us to try and buy it, I was like, I should recommend them against it, but I won't. But I should.
You're the reason that Toys R Us failed, I guess. Huh. Wow.
Yeah, you directly.
Because I didn't tell them to
You
not buy
didn't
it.
sell Call of Duty Ghosts.
No, I did sell Call of Duty Ghosts.
I know, I'm kidding.
I didn't tell them to not buy Call of Duty Ghosts. So, if anything, I did my part to try and save it. Apparently, if they heard you talking about unions, it'd sound like a Gestapo after you. They're like secret union police.
It's like they would basically just fire you on the spot, but not explicitly.
You know, I'd believe it.
Yeah, me too, sadly.
When I worked at Target, they had us watch like a 30-minute anti-union video. That was like the worst video I've ever seen. It's like, unions were important, but they're outdated. And it was just like, oh, this is just like 30 minutes of anti-union propaganda. Okay.
That should be and maybe is illegal.
Well, it should be, but that's what they had us do in training when I worked at Target.
Yeah.
So weird.
Oh, I believe you.
When I worked for the city, they were like, you immediately have to join the CUPE, the public public people union.
The
So
mayonnaise?
When I worked,
mayonnaise?
Kewpie? Did you say Kewpie?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like the
CUPE.
best kind of mayonnaise.
CUPE.
Join the mayonnaise union.
I mean, if it's Kewpie mayonnaise, that's a union I'd want to join.
Man, that's
Holy
you're
Union
right.
of Mayonnaise.
That was so much better.
I when I worked at the regional like Walmart Meijer in Michigan, they made us join a union, and the union was just like the Meijer union. It wasn't like a retail workers union, so it was just like it didn't do any. They just charge you union dues, but like
It
the head
didn't.
of the union was close friends with the CEO of Meijer and stuff. Like it
Oh.
wasn't a real. It was technically a real union, but it like was a real union that was run by the company that I worked for. So it was like also not real. I don't know. It was.
Yeah, that seems a little sketch. Like,
Yeah, they fought for things like not reducing our breaks to 10 minutes, 15-minute breaks, and stuff like that. It
You
was
know, the
bullshit.
important stuff.
Like
That
it was
remind-
like, well, we're not going to fight for healthcare. We're just going to make sure that you can go and smoke a full cigarette instead of only half.
That really reminds me of when I worked at when I was in college. I worked for a semester at the football stadium on campus, and we would work like 11-hour shifts with maybe a 1 20-minute break in there. And somebody started complaining and going, "Hey, is this legal?" And so they gave us a 10-minute break later, and they were just like, "You should be so thankful that we're giving you this break." And I'm like, "Okay."
When I did that, we at least got lunch.
We did get some food, yeah.
We got like a lunch break. I think we only got the lunch break though. It was like half an hour, or maybe an hour, because you had to like wait in line and get food. But
ours was like 20-25 minutes, and it was like really close to the beginning of the shift always.
Oh,
So it would be like 2 hours into the 11-hour shift, and then
like a football game isn't that long, so the fact that it takes like the shifts are that long is just so. I did the same thing, and oh my god,
yeah.
for so long they didn't allow us to have like chairs because it was unprofessional.
Yep. Well, I worked in the like luxury suites, basically, where
There's people throwing money.
Except they weren't allowed to tip us. Like that was in their thing.
Oh
like,
no, they were just spending obscene amounts on like everything around you.
But they're spending obscene amounts of money.
You.
I think to sit there you have to order like a lot of food. So there was one guy once who like was like halfway late to the I didn't eat any of this fancy dessert he got. So he's just like, all the employees should just have it. And we were just like, thank you. But then the management got so mad at us for eating it in the back. And we're like, he gave it to us. He gave it to us.
Yeah, that sucks.
It was weird. And then the first time I got a paycheck for that was like the saddest moment when you realize like that was the hardest day. And I have like $75.
Hey, Erica, we're just talking about unionization.
Yeah.
Also, you're muted.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Xavier was making a lot of noise, so I muted myself.
Was he like taking a dump or something?
No, he was shifting his chair around next to me and it was squeaking.
Did you confront him about
His dump?
no?
Oh, about Parks and Recreation? Yeah, no, he said he didn't know. He didn't know.
No, that's
But that's
exactly what
what
he would say.
Yeah, that's what
what I was
anyone
gonna
would say.
But yeah, I'll choose to believe him because otherwise I will be heartbroken.
All right, so we are on somewhat of a time limit today. Is that what the understanding is?
Yes.
You guys don't have to be under a time limit. Just I have to be under a time limit.
And there's 5 of us.
Okay.
The 5 colonials, you mean?
What? Top 5 colonials?
Oh yeah, because we're all Yeah, he was making it funny about how Sam's British.
Oh, okay. I guess. Let's see what's okay. That's the date. That's the episode number. Okay. I just want to make sure I have all this information in front of me. Hello, and welcome to episode 37 of Gaming Fix, a podcast made by 6 friends from the internet. Today we are 5 on this September 15th. I am Andre Cole, and I absolutely love PC gaming with no caveats on there at all. I'm joined today by Alex.
Hi, your cloud saves will not be deleted if your subscription ends to Gaming Fix.
We have a subscription. Allison.
I'm here with the late to the party love for my Vita.
Erica.
My PC is barely playing games at this point.
Sad.
Yeah.
But do you still love PC gaming with no caveats?
The caveat being that I need to buy a bunch of shit to make them work. So.
Fake gamer girl. And Pat.
I love PC gaming with no caveats. Yeah, that's fair. Now that there's finally a true good Call of Duty game coming to PC.
No,
Call of
okay.
Duty, Call of Duty 2.
Call of Booty, because I got a Blackout BO. Call of Body Odor.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
4.
that's next year's game.
Oh, who's making that one?
Square Enix, funny enough.
Infinity Ward.
Oh, ooh.
Respawn.
Wait, yeah, okay. Well, since Pat took us there, our best boy took us there. How about you tell us about what you brought this week?
Wait.
What did I bring this week?
Wait. How was Vancouver?
Oh, Vancouver's weird, man. I mean, the show is awesome. My partner and I went to go see Coheed and Cambria, which is both of our favorite band, and it was a really spectacular show. Protest the Hero opened for them. They're a really great Canadian prog metal band, also one of my favorite bands. So seeing them together was really cool. The venue was really cool. It was a neat. It was laid out well, and it sounded good from everywhere. We both drank way too much and stumbled around Vancouver looking for pizza afterwards, which it turns out is really easy to find there. They fucking love pizza. There's way more pizza there than in Seattle, which was kind of odd. But yeah, there's this moment, like we saw a skyline on the horizon while we were driving past Surrey that we assumed, we had gotten past Surrey, just near the American border. We assumed that was the Vancouver skyline. It turns out it was not. And then we drove, I'm still not clear on what that skyline was. We drove through some like pretty standard suburban stuff that was like cool. And then we drove through the rich neighborhood where like, I'm sure the houses are beautiful, but you couldn't see them because there were like 20-foot high hedges.
You're talking about Burnaby?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not positive, but yes, it was very, very wealthy. At one point, there were like 4 Porsches stopped around me at a stoplight in my rented Ford Fiesta. And then we came over the bridge. We went through like a nice shopping district. And as we came over the bridge, like my partner and I were both like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because this is really weird, right? This is weird to you too, right? Because all of the buildings look the same. And it turns out we were pulling into downtown Vancouver. Like that was Vancouver. And it was just a very odd experience. Like it felt like driving into a video game city because all the buildings looked the same. In fact, it felt like driving into like one of my coworkers, I showed him a picture and he said that actually looks like a shitty 90s disaster movie. Like the CG city skyline that's about to get destroyed. It's weird. But once you're down on the ground, it's really nice. Like the actual, like, people are really nice. City's really nice. There's tons of stuff to do. There's tons of food everywhere. Everything was pretty reasonably priced for being such an expensive city, or at least that was my perception. So yeah, it was all right. Then I spent 2 days recovering from drinking too much and rocking out a little bit hard for my old bones.
And so you recovered by
playing some well, I got into platinum in Spider-Man earlier this week. I don't really have, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about with that later on, but I played some 2 Point Hospital and some of the Call of Duty Blackout beta. My 2 Point Hospital thoughts are pretty limited. I would say I played the first 2 levels to 3 stars because the way that the levels work, you get star ratings. So you get to 1 star and then you can move on to the next hospital, or you can stay and continue to play at the one you're at. So I stayed on the first 2 and got to 3 stars. They were pretty easy to do, but that's not really a criticism because it was also a lot of fun. And, I know it gets a lot more challenging and there's more decisions to make. There weren't a lot of choices. That's the one thing about it so far that I've been a little bit like, I don't know. It's very charming and looks gorgeous and plays really nicely. But I didn't find myself really making choices. It was more like, it felt like, oh, the queue got long enough for this room, so I need to make another one of those. But I have a feeling that will get more complex relax as time goes on.
Definitely. They introduce things really slowly.
Right, which is fine. That's not really a criticism because it wasn't a big time sink to get through those levels. I spent probably a half hour maybe on each of them, maybe 45 minutes. So it wasn't as if they were like super time consuming. They were, and them being easy is like, it was a very relaxing thing to just sort of plop the rooms down and build them up and stuff. So not a complaint, but otherwise, I think Alex also played some of the Blackout. And you did too, right, Andre? Or
no, it was available to preload, but not actually play for if you didn't pre-order. So I'm going to play it today.
Gotcha.
I watched like the Giant Bomb unfinished or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I think I like that mode quite a bit. I've played probably 5 or 6 rounds since last night. My first, as I knew would happen, my first round I got to number 3 and I almost won. But instead of charging someone with a sniper rifle at close range, I decided to take cover, and then the other person that was in the very small circle killed me from behind. So I should have won the match, but I screwed up. And then since then, I've just kind of played to get into as many fights as possible, as quickly as possible. So the next closest I got to is like number 35 or something. But that game seems like a much more polished PUBG that plays like Call of Duty. And from what I've heard from some people, they think that that's not enough, but I don't know. I think that's it. It's if you like the feel of Call of Duty with the movement and aiming down the sights and all that sort of stuff, that's what it feels like, rather than the more methodical kind of Arma-like feel that PUBG has. And I don't know that I'd say one is better than the other, but I tend to prefer the more arcadey feel that Call of Duty has, even though I respect the more milsim feel of something like PUBG. And having stuff like perks that you can pop is interesting. Plus, some of the weapons are wild, which is cool too.
What system are you playing on?
I'm on PC.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say I've been playing the beta on the PS4. I've played solos, I've played squads, and most recently I played the new mode they added today, the close quarter ones. I
don't think they put those on PC.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
Close quarter is the circles start restricting faster, and all that's on the maps is SMGs and shotguns.
That's cool. Okay.
It's
awesome.
actually pretty good. I'm usually not that kind of player, but I think it's actually pretty good.
No, yeah, that's a good way to train with that stuff too. Because there's lots of those kinds of weapons around when you play the full matches too.
Yeah, so I think that mode is actually, if you like Call of Duty, that's more of the Call of Duty, and the standard mode, if you're playing duos or whatever, that kind of just feels like PUBG. But for console, I don't know how it is for PC because that's mouse and keyboard, but in terms of how it is laid out on a controller, I think it's the best UI and stuff of any of the Battle Royale games, more so than Fortnite or PUBG. Just because the way the menus work and everything like that is just really intuitive, unlike both of those games.
Fortnite has a thing where it's got all the building and stuff, so you've got to have all the materials and whatnot, and then Fortnite's menu is just ridiculous.
Right, and that's a lot of managing too, going back and forth between building and shooting. And I never got, and whenever I played Fortnite, which wasn't very much, I never got really good at that. So
I think in the few times I've played Fortnite, I don't think I built something once just because I couldn't handle doing both.
It's hard.
So Pat, I assume you've seen the console UI and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does that compare to the PC stuff? And
so the PC stuff is great because you can right click once you hit escape to pull up your inventory, and you can right click and you get a cursor. So it's just a straight mouse cursor. So you can drag items around and stuff in the UI. The only thing I haven't figured out yet, because I haven't combed the keyboard shortcuts, is I haven't seen the quick way to equip perks. So I'm not really sure how that works. If I have one criticism of it beyond just saying, maybe, the one criticism I have of it, if beyond, if you don't like the way Call of Duty feels, this isn't for you, is it's not very clear as to how the inventory stuff works. I'm sure if I stopped and sat for a while and looked at all the different slots and everything, it would make more sense. But it's not quite as intuitive as I felt PUBG was, where PUBG was just you got your the stuff in your backpack on the left and the stuff on your body on the right, whereas the inventory layout in Call of Duty is like your devices and your medical stuff in one section, and then you got your weapons and each of their different attachment slots, and then you got the perk section, and it's not as, and like when you go to loot somebody else's stuff, it's kind of hard sometimes to parse like, okay, what if this is mine and what if this is theirs when you're trying to move very quickly. That's something that'll come with time, and I'm sure in the full release they'll probably include some kind of like tutorial system to introduce you to how the mode works, because they're going to be onboarding a bunch of people that have never played a battle royale and have just played a lot of Call of Duty. So I'm not really that worried about it, but that stuff is a little odd. But otherwise, I think like my biggest concern coming into it was like engagement ranges and how that would work with like bullet drop and stuff. And it seems to be from what I've played that, and Ben Pack from Giant Bomb was sort of talking about this too, and I think what he understood is correct, that when you hit a certain range, it does start doing a ballistics model with bullet drop.
Yep.
But when you're within a certain range, it's just hit scan like Call of Duty, and it feels kind of awesome actually. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, that's exactly how I saw it working. I actually experimented with that a little bit, just kind of like taking one of the assault rifles, I don't remember which one, and just kind of shooting at a wall next to me, and then shooting at a further wall next to me, and then using a 4x scope, and then shooting it at the top of a mountain. And yeah, after a certain range, you actually start seeing like the ballistics.
Yeah, it's almost like at a certain range, if nothing was in your way, it spawns an actual bullet, and then it has a ballistics model for that bullet. I don't know, it's interesting, and it makes it feel like you can actually have those Call of Duty style engagements without sacrificing the stuff that makes PUBG pretty cool when it comes to those like super long ranges with sniper rifles. I will say on PC, this isn't really a criticism because this is just the way it works, but people are very good at shooting people in PC games. So I had one death where like I was hidden in the grass and I shot someone, and then I stood up because now my position was given away, stood up, started sprinting, and jumped, because it's a thing. I don't know if this has become a big thing in PUBG or not. It wasn't when I was playing, but you jump a lot when you're running around just to kind of create a, hard to shoot target. So I, in like one fluid motion, got up from prone, started running in an erratic direction, and jumped, and was headshotted while in midair. And like the jump isn't like a Halo jump. It's a little floaty, but it's not like. And when I watched the kill cam, the person like heard a shot, turned, and as they were turning, drew a bead and shot me in the head. It was like, it was insane. It was like, I don't think so, maybe, but it looked really just like they were very good at. It wasn't like impossible. It was something that I could see someone conceivably being able to do, but it was very, very skilled.
360 no scope.
Well, they did use their scope, so it wasn't quite a no scope, but
okay.
Yeah. So there is that on the PC, and there's no aim assist or anything, which you wouldn't want there to be anyway. But
did you have to set your CPU priority to high in order to play this game?
No, it runs very well on my rig with a 980 and a i7 6300K. It runs on with all the pretty settings that maxed out, and it looks a lot better than PUBG. That's one of the things that is interesting about it, which you kind of would expect from like Call of Duty. But
yeah, if it looked worse than PUBG,
yes, yeah, totally. And it's interesting because since they pulled in different maps to kind of hodgepodge the PUBG, like the Blackout map, it's sometimes a little jarring, and I think that the transitions could be smoother from like generic terrain into a Call of Duty map, but it's mostly works, and you get some really cool features that other battle royale games I don't think have like really matched in their map design. Just like stuff like the Asylum and the Nuketown area, they're like really, really high fidelity, cool little areas to have battle royale shootouts in. And I found that was the most exciting and fun sections, was when I got into a shootout with 4 or 5 other people in those little areas. So yeah, I don't know. I recommend checking out. I think this weekend you can play the beta on every platform for free. So I would not probably be comfortable spending $60 on this alone, but as part of the larger package, even as someone who doesn't care about zombies, this plus the standard multiplayer is, I feel pretty good about having pre-ordered it.
Yeah, that's actually exactly my thoughts too. Like, if I don't think I would get Call of Duty Black Ops 4 just for this mode. Like, I think it's good, and I think, in like you said, in a lot of ways, it's better than PUBG. But I think when you combine it with the standard modes, and I also don't care about zombies, but I think it's a pretty good offering.
If they charge $29.99 for this mode, I would say that's fine. If you were, I mean, I would buy it for $60 anyway because I'm interested in the other mode, the multiplayer mode. But it's totally a comparable experience in terms of content as to what PUBG was when it was first coming out. I don't even know what PUBG costs anymore, but I know when I bought it, it was like $30.
Yeah, I think it probably still is. Speaking of zombies, did you encounter any of the zombie infested areas? And
I
what was
haven't.
that like?
I have, yeah.
What was that like?
It was weird. So specifically, we Cheska and I were playing, and we ran into the lighthouse area. So I don't know if you've been there, Pat.
I have not.
So we were there, and then I don't know if the zombies spawn immediately or if it's like close to when the first circle starts converging. But there weren't zombies there when we started, and then there suddenly were, and yeah, it made things a lot more complicated. That's for sure. I don't know if it made things more fun, and I don't know.
How many
loot-
zombies are you talking about?
Pardon?
Like, how many zombies are like? Is it
It was like
Like,
6 at a time.
6? Okay, and are they hard to kill? I haven't played like zombies since like World at War or something.
They probably had about as much health as a standard human player. So
Okay.
it's not like
No,
you were
like,
two-shotting them and then they were down, but so if they got you, if they kind of ganged up on you, you'd be in trouble. But the question some people had was if zombie-infested areas have better loot, and I would say yes, because we
I have to imagine they do.
yeah, we came away from that area with like a couple legendary weapons, because you do see legendary weapons on the ground. They like kind of glow
Yeah.
gold.
Those are cool.
Do they glow gold in your hands?
No, but like the reason they're legendary is like they're like, oh, this is the standard version, but it has all this stuff already on it. Like it has a foregrip, it
Yes.
has a really nice scope, it has everything just already included. So
I think that I'd be really curious to see how the gear spawns work versus zombie spawns. I haven't seen any zombies. I tried dropping at Asylum because I wanted to see if maybe like they spawn at specific places all the time. First of all, Asylum is a great map and like a good Call of Duty map, and it's really creepy because there's like ambient noises that happen while you're there, even if there aren't zombies there. When I dropped there, no zombies showed up, and I was there for a good third of the match. And there wasn't any particularly good loot there either. But I also at one point dropped right at the beginning at the like cargo dock area. I forget what that's called. And I happened to see a crate, and it didn't come from a supply drop because it was right at the beginning of the match, and it was in a shipping container. And it had 2 legendary guns in it. In fact, I think it had like 3 or 4 legendary guns in it, but I can only carry 2. And it had level 2 armor and a bunch of health stuff. So like that's part of the reason I managed to get to the number 3 in my first game, because I had all that stuff. So I wonder if maybe the gear spawned and that zombies would have spawned there if I stuck around or something.
yeah, I think that might be the case.
Because I left as soon as I found that crate. I found it like I dropped and it was literally in front of me right when I hit the ground. So I picked up all that stuff and then just booked it. So yeah, it could be that they spawn after the last player drops, or like you said, when the circle starts converging. I don't know.
Very interesting. I look forward to playing that probably after we get off this call. So maybe I'll talk about that next week. We'll see.
By the way, Pat, what was the player count for your games? Because actually, I've been seeing my player count's been going up. Like yesterday I saw it at 88. People have been talking about how it was at 80, but yeah, it was at 88 for me yesterday.
I think they're slowly ramping it up over the course of the period to see how many players they can get in without it breaking. I played a game with 88 earlier today.
Yeah.
The first game I played last night was at like 67, and then today I played one at like 74, and then one at 80, and then one at 88. It could also be player count. I don't know. It could be number of people that were available for a match looking.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people. Well, didn't they? Was it? No, it was Battlefield that called, or that pre-order numbers were supposedly down on. So Call of Duty, I imagine, is still pretty
I think
high.
it's doing fine. The people were
They
super
forgot
hot
wall
on
running, right? So it's got to be up there.
No.
No, they did take out wall running.
Yes, there is no wall running. Oh, one of the cool things, we can move on after this. Also, I just checked. It is that close quarters mode is in PC right now. It just wasn't live this morning.
I recommend that.
I'm going to try it later. One of the coolest things about this mode that I think is the ultimate thing that puts me over the edge on it, over wanting to play this instead of PUBG, is all of the like tech equipment, some of which was like equipment, some of which was kill streak rewards, is in this game. So like in that round where I got to number 3, the reason someone was able to sneak up behind me was because they had an RC car. So they dropped the RC car, drove it around, drove it under a house because the house was on like pallets, and saw me hiding, and then turned off the RC car and came around behind me and killed me. I also got a grappling hook at one point. The grappling hook is fucking cool as hell. It works like you would want it to. Like, so that stuff is super cool. All those gadgets are really, really neat. Yeah. Fortnite has some of that, but it was cool to play it in PUBG. Like,
I haven't even played this, but now I'm just like, I want a Titanfall battle royale game.
Oh yeah.
You and me both.
That would be sweet.
Wait, would there still be Titans?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Maybe we'll do the war of having Titanfall without Titans.
Like, you know, a Titan, like,
Yeah.
they're not like impossible to take out solo. Like, you know, it's easier if you have people with you and stuff, or like another Titan, but like it's totally possible to get together or just to by yourself get around and blow it up. So I think it wouldn't be too unfair.
I just want another Titanfall game.
Well, that'll happen.
Yeah.
I know it will.
So.
I know it will.
Every time
Vin Zampella with a hat at a conference.
Every time there's, I don't know if you guys see, like PlayStation actually has a lot of sales these days, which is really cool. But
on these sales.
But every time they have a sale, there's always the Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2 bundle for like $5.
It sucks because I recently, I guess I haven't really mentioned this on the cast, but I recently picked up, maybe I did, an Xbox. So I've been playing Xbox games here and there. Alyssa has been playing them more because she's playing The Witcher again. I grabbed that Battlefield bundle because there was a Battlefield anniversary bundle that had 4 hardline and 1 in it, so you get 2 good games for $25. And you couldn't buy a bundle that did not include hardline, so whatever. So anyway, and you got all the DLC and everything, which is great. But they also have that Titanfall 2 Battlefield 1 bundle that's on sale, but Titanfall 2 isn't on sale by itself. So it's like you can get Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2 for $12, or you can buy Titanfall 2 by itself for $30. It's so weird.
You could get Origin Access or whatever and probably have that.
You can get EA Access, yeah.
EA Access or whatever it is.
I don't think I'm going to do that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to probably do that to play Battlefield and Anthem.
Yeah, so that's only on PC.
Yeah.
EA Access is different on Xbox. Yeah.
I wonder if that'll come to other stuff.
I don't know.
Well, with that discussion, we're going to black out on that discussion and move on to Erica. We're going to go in reverse order this time, except for me. I'm going to be the last.
That was a terrible joke.
You never call Sam out on it. God.
I mean, but we're all thinking it when it's Sam anyway.
Ain't that the truth?
to bring me down like that, God.
Anyway, yeah, I'm about to talk shit about Spider-Man.
Wait, are we talking shit?
Pass.
Wait.
Pass.
A little bit.
Is this the new Breath of the Wild where Erica doesn't like the game and it makes everyone really mad?
Listen,
and your opinion is totally valid and great, but also you make me so mad.
Right, exactly. It's like, Erica, I appreciate your opinions, but you're wrong.
Okay, listen, I like Spider-Man, okay? I'm gonna say I like this game a lot. I'm gonna finish it.
Okay.
I am not there's no universe in which I am not finishing this game. I am very much enjoying it. However, it's not a perfect game.
I
Right.
don't think anyone said
Okay.
it's.
No, I wouldn't say it's perfect either.
I would say that there's a lot wrong with it.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would be interested to hear what you would characterize as a lot.
Okay,
It's a video game ass video game.
yeah, that was like the biggest thing is that Pat led me on last week when he was saying it's less of a video game than the Arkham games. It is the exact same thing as those Arkham games.
Oh, I disagree very, very, very.
I think the writing is above and beyond that. Like the writing is better than video game writing.
I think the rating's very good, but it's in between all the video game, you know, open world stuff.
Yeah, like I'm not that far into the game. I didn't actually have a ton of time to play it this week, so I'm actually only just a few hours in, but so I haven't seen that much story, but what I have seen so far I think is really good. But you know, like I don't like that I have to go run around and take a picture of a building to make my map better, and I have to go, you know, fuck around with like descramble like my thing so I can, you know, spy on all of the citizens of New York. Like
The towers are definitely the dumbest thing in that game.
Yeah, it is
like
kind
as an
of-
activity.
Like 2 seconds. Like,
Yeah, they don't last very long though. That's the thing. Like
but
there's
also
like
but they get you to Spider Cop.
like that's my problem is that also, I mean, this is not a hot take. I've seen
You
so many
don't
articles
like-
on it
you
this
don't
week.
like Spider Cop.
But they turned Spider-Man's a cop now. Like
Spider-Man's always been a cop.
Yeah, he's always
He's always been a cop.
I think I agree that he's always been a cop, but there are a couple of moments in the game that it's really jarring. With the surveillance towers, especially, and then also whenever you have to deal with a drug bust. That's like
Spider-Man hates drug dealers.
he really
he's
does.
always.
really hates them.
I'm not arguing that like it's not
Like,
been a
this is a
problematic
little-
element of the comics. Like it's something that I would think is totally fair to take issue with from a critique of the character, and because this is a lens through which we're viewing the character, I'm not saying it's invalid in this case too, but it has definitely he has always been a cop. I read like I don't think the take is like wrong, but I've read some stuff where people are like, Spider-Man's always been at odds with the NYPD, and like that's just not true. If you read
Right.
Spider-Man comics,
It's only because he's a vigilante.
yeah, but it's not like Batman where like they hunt him down and stuff. Like there are arcs where that happens, but by and large, like Spider-Man sides with Stark in Civil War. Like he's always been on the side of the like register the superheroes. I'm a cop. Like
That worked
protect
out
the
well for him.
NYPD. Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if I necessarily think like, oh, this is out of character. I just personally wish that the game addressed it more. And maybe it does near the end, but I'm like 50% of the way through and I'm like, it'd be nice if like the game was aware of this.
Yeah.
It doesn't spoil anything to say that it does not address it in a way that you would want it to. I think those surveillance towers in particular, I think Insomniac is smart enough to know how ridiculous they are and how insane it is that Spider-Man just goes on along with it. Another aspect of Spider-Man's character is that he's super naive about everything until he gets burned. So my suspicion is that in the next game, there will be, again, no, it's not a spoiler, like Oscorp and Spider-Man are at odds constantly in the comics. And the fact that they're not in this world tells me that probably for the next game, there's going to be a complete collapse and you maybe will do a sequence where you take out all of the surveillance cameras. It's hard to know because we're talking about
really sweet.
2018's Marvel Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I think that if it bothers you, I don't think it's like invalid or wrong for it to, but I imagine that will be a plot point that gets revisited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, in 2018, it just put a really bad taste in my mouth. And that, like, I was just like, I'm not real excited about doing any of this stuff. And I don't like that, you know, he's not questioning at all. Like, I mean, you know, at the very beginning of the game, when you bust Fisk, there's kind of like a line that's just like, oh, I guess we took out all the dirty cops then, sort of, where they like implied that, you know, like they got rid of every problem that the police have. All in
It's
one.
like we're talking about the NYPD here.
Yeah.
A couple of cops is not dealing with it.
Yeah. So
For me-
like for me, it's not that there's like a systematic problem. It's not a few bad apples. So having this okay, we've taken out all the bad cops, so now we can have all the rest of the cops and Spider-Man spy on the rest of all of our citizens at all times because of these weird towers that we all think are okay and just never address. It feels gross to me in 2018.
I kind of accepted the fantasy of, and I very much do not in other things. So that's why I don't want to sound dismissive at all, because I think that you have a point. To me, I accepted the fantasy of, in this fantasy New York, the cops aren't assholes, and they have handled a lot of, or whatever, maybe the problems never existed, or maybe they just don't because of vigilantes flying around everywhere and existing, who knows. So for me, and I think it's just because I've been consuming Spider-Man media for so long, it was easy for me to just say like, well, this is fake Spider-Man New York, it's nothing like the real world in a bajillion, because when I think of it, I'm thinking of it at like, also like the Fantastic Four are somewhere, and the Avengers are somewhere, and Silver Surfer is somewhere, and like there's cosmic powers somewhere. So it's a super fantasy world for me, as much as, or if not more so than like Gotham is in Batman. So I guess that's why, like, for me, it was easy to kind of go, whatever. If it were trying to portray itself as realistic, I would have not been able to, and I totally see why someone else would look at it and go like, this is whack. So I'm not trying to dismiss the criticism.
And I think for me, I mean, for me, it's I definitely, it's one of those things where it kind of like it's something like that pops up in the game, and I'm like, that's a little weird. But I'm almost 50% done with everything, so I'm like, or I'm over 50%, and so it's like it's not necessarily going to stop me from enjoying every last bit of this game and looking forward to a sequel. But it was a moment where I was like, okay, I don't know if I appreciate this message.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, it's not going to stop me from playing the game. I'm going to continue playing the game. I'm enjoying what I'm playing so far. Everything about that game feels really good. The combat's really good. The swinging's amazing, and like, it's just that I like when I'm playing it, I feel a little yucky.
Yeah, I guess I never interpreted it as like necessarily like the surveillance stuff is just weird, but that just felt very video gamey to me, and I think it's going to come up again in the future because it's very clearly, it feels like that's like an Oscorp thing and less of a police thing. Like Osborn is the mayor, and we know he's corrupt anyway, and the mayor said you're going to use these towers. Less like the NYPD saying, "Hey, let's spy on everyone," and more like that's kind of how
I don't know if that's like super explicit though.
It's not. I'm just saying that's how it filtered through my brain.
And well, part of the thing is the only person who really comments on any of that is Jonah. JJ.
Right.
It's in the midst of all his like ramblings about how Spider-Man is a menace and a threat, and how he's he's hacking into the police surveillance, like the police surveillance stuff is a bad idea, and now Spider-Man is hacking into it and he's spying on us.
Yeah.
It's
I think they know. Some of that tells me that I think they know how weird that is. And then as far as the other general police stuff, it didn't come off to me as like trying to, like, it didn't come off to me as like Insomniac saying like, we stand with police, Blue Lives Matter. It just seems very much like generic superhero police stuff. But other people may interpret it differently, and that's totally fair. I mean, it's a thing that, it's open to interpretation.
I think it would have bothered me a lot less if it were just like Spider-Man using his own tech stuff. Like, okay, I've set up these weird satellites and I'm spying on the people of New York instead of the police are spying on the people of New York.
Or even like, oh, this police has this whole satellite network and I'm just going to like attach my own spider thing onto their network. So like, you still have to do the towers game rate thing, but it's not.
The way it's used in the game though is basically just for like setting up like police, like so you can hear police scanner stuff. Basically, even so, it's not even like, oh, this is giving you access, like not filled in your map, but it's not giving you access to like, oh, we've got like you're watching all these cameras because as like part of missions or anything.
It's very ambiguous as to how it even works in the first place.
I
Since they
figured-
directly
Yeah.
call them surveillance towers, I'm willing to accept that it's probably
yeah,
gross.
Yeah, just the way that you use them is
Yeah.
just like you hear the police scanner because you're not like Spider-Man's going and doing stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
But you
I feel
also-
like they could have probably framed it differently so that it wouldn't come across as icky
Yeah.
but
or
they
as
probably.
icky.
I mean, they might
But
have
if they're
deliberately
intending it
done that.
for-
Who knows?
feature
Yeah.
game or anything. But
Yeah, that's part of why I think that specific plot thing is going, or that device is going to become a major element of the next game in a antagonistic way. Because, I mean, or Insomniac's just completely fucking stupid. Those are the two options. Either one, it's going to come up again as like a, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't have done this. Or two, they're totally okay with a surveillance state, which like no one is.
Hey,
I don't want to
wanna-
believe that they're stupid because the rest of this game is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No one thinks that that's like okay and hunky dory to have surveillance towers everywhere,
If you wanna
except for
play a
like government
game-
agents.
If you want to play a game that's against the surveillance state, go play Infamous Second Son
Exactly.
or Watch Dogs.
Right. There's been enough of those. I don't know. I'm
Right.
pretty sure it's going to come up again.
Then I look
Let
forward
me
to
enjoy my surveillance state fantasy.
Wait,
My
so-
fantasy like world is a surveillance state. It's like, oh, not so much fantasy.
So
They
Erica,
still don't know who Spider-Man is, so what the fuck?
I have a question for you, Erica.
Yes.
As the resident New Yorker, how do you feel about their depiction of the city?
Okay, Sam was like, this is New York. This is 100% New York. This is not New York. I don't know what he is talking about. So, I mean, there are
Basically
like,
everyone who lives in New York. That's what I've heard.
that's like, yeah. Like, I think the parks look really good. They look a lot like parks I've seen in Manhattan. Maybe except for maybe Central Park, I think actually doesn't look that good, but the rest of them do, like the smaller ones do. But and then like the building models that they pull directly, like the landmarks and everything, those all look like the landmarks, but I feel like kind of everything else is like building. Like it's not like I've seen this building. This looks so much like New York, and it's more like it's just a building. But I don't know.
Right, that's how I felt too, having been to New York like about 6 times, and like when you go past like Rockefeller Center, it's like, oh yeah, this is what it looks like. Or Radio City Music Hall looks the pretty big, like landmarks. But then there are certain points when I'm like going through like the upper West Side or something, and I'm like, this doesn't really feel like the Upper West Side. Like I guess, but
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like it.
and like. I mean, I live in Brooklyn. I don't live in Manhattan. So, I mean, maybe parts of Manhattan that I don't see as often look like other parts of this, but it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel right to me. I mean, I've been to Manhattan plenty of times. It's just like, that's not my stomping ground, I guess.
How about all the
So-
violent crime on every corner?
all the drug dealers wearing ski masks?
All the drug dealers
Rampant-
like ski masks in Manhattan. Uh-huh.
And,
Rampant
like,
kidnappings where people are shoved into trunks like 5 times a day.
in broad daylight all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think any video game has ever accurately depicted a city ever. Like, ever. I
can think of one.
Is it Midtown Madness?
No, it's definitely not Midtown Madness
Better
because
not
that
be
one's
Midtown
terrible.
Madness.
But I'm thinking of MDK2, where they have a satellite image of Edmonton being destroyed because
Okay,
Edmonton's a
you would
fucking
know.
wasteland and that place is terrible. Don't go to Edmonton.
The I guess the Getaway maybe is a lot like London. I've never been to London, so I don't know.
How about
But like,
Driver San Francisco? That was pretty good.
I don't know. Maybe Watch Dogs 2 is a good San Francisco. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
It's like incredibly condensed though. It's like 4
That's the
blocks
thing.
wide
That's what
or
I'm getting
something,
at.
So
Are you
Like-
looking for more something that's like 1-to-1?
Not 1-to-1, but that actually nails. I feel like Grand Theft
wait,
Auto
wait,
nails the
I've got it.
feel.
I've got it. Fallout 4.
I want to believe that. I've never been there, but I want to believe.
Counterpoint.
That's sleeping
Counterpoint.
dogs.
L.A. Noir.
Yeah, so that was the one that I was gonna say is maybe because like I'm thinking of like in terms of other superhero games that Spider-Man gets compared to. Like I hear people talk about Infamous Second Son and like how like that was the watermark. And when I played Infamous Second Son, I didn't even live in Seattle. I just visited Seattle, and holy hell, that is the worst representation of a city ever. That is like they should have said it's set in Second City and like not even tried, because that is like garbage version of Seattle. So I think I hear what you're saying, Erica, because when people talk about how great that game is, I'm like, it's nothing like the real Seattle, and it kills the game for me. So I could see how it being a poor representation would impact your enjoyment.
I'm not like mad at it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, whatever. Oh, and the other thing that I may be not super crazy about, and I think this is a me thing, and I think this is about to be an unpopular opinion, but I don't give a shit about any of the suits. Any of them. I don't think Spider-Man has ever had a suit.
There is one you will give a shit about.
Okay, I don't know. I never
100%
thought.
suit. I'm gonna send you the picture.
Okay, send me the picture.
Does it have...
I know it's spoilers, but I'm excited to see it because I've heard so many people talk about it.
Just Andre, give me a yes or a no. Does it have Griffin McElroy's face on it?
No.
That'd be nice. There are a couple of suits I really like. Erica, do you care about spoilers at all?
No, go right ahead. I literally have never cared about a Spider-Man suit in my life.
Wait, audience, spoilers.
Spoilers for suits in Spider-Man. It's like mid-game spoilers too. There's the suit where it's like the punk suit, which has like denim vest.
That was a pre-order bonus too, so people have seen that.
And spikes on the head. That's the only one that I use right now. Until I get a cooler one, I'm like, this is my favorite.
I think you're in the majority, Erica. I think I happen to like pretty much all the suits myself, but I think that's the extreme minority. And that's just because I know a lot of them from like comic book arcs. So there's nostalgia involved in some of them. And some of them are just like, there's the one suit, I think it's the Fear Itself suit. That's like, again, this is like spoilers for later but not end game Spider-Man suits. No, it's not Fear Itself. Which is the one? Maybe you'll remember what it was, Andre. But like his head is just a flaming skull.
No,
and it's great.
It's a Ghost Spider.
Yeah, I don't even know what that's
like a
from.
Ghost Rider.
It's Ghost Rider. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically Ghost Rider.
I do not know if there must have been a tie-in or something. If Sam was here, he would know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that suit is really wild. I also just like, I think some of the other suits, the ones that I actually recognize are like the Spider Armor suits. Those are cool. I like the Infinity War suit. So, but I think I'm in the minority. I think most people agree with you that like, even Sam was saying that like he never plays anything but the Insomniac's boot suit. I switched around a lot, but definitely. That's not
okay. Yes, Andre. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 100% right. Suit is real good.
Okay. All right. I'm here for that.
I don't know what it is.
This game right now.
You'll see it like in the course of completing the story.
Oh, okay. My God.
It's for like a brief moment.
Okay. I'm excited.
Does it involve Nicolas Cage?
No. That's the Ghost Spider suit.
Yeah, like I think that's just me in that I don't think Spider-Man's suits ever look interesting to me. Like I don't think his generic Spider-Man suit has ever looked like, ooh, wow, I'm so glad he's dressed in primary red and blue. Like
I really like the Last Stand suit, which is where he just wears like boots, jeans, and a leather jacket.
That's one of my favorite ones. Yeah, that one's very cool.
So
that's my favorite.
How Erica, how do you feel about his quips?
I don't know if I can take more of this week. Look, I'm sure they do like something that I think is stupid, okay?
Sorry, I'll speak for you, Erica. They were great.
No, really, I do think they're mostly great. I think they're mostly great, but like a lot of the times, I mean, he's supposed to be cheesy. A lot of the times they don't land for me, and I think that's a good thing. Like I think that feels like Peter Parker, you know?
So it's like rolling your eyes at a dad joke?
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Like all the Spider Cop stuff and all that.
Oh God, I love that stuff so much. It's so funny.
Peter. there have been a couple of moments in the game where I've genuinely laughed out loud because
Yeah,
it made me so happy, and I thought it was hilarious.
same.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about the story more when everyone's finished it, and we can talk about it in a kind of full spoilers capacity, because I think that I had my moments actually with that game, probably about where you're at in the story, maybe more where you're at, Allison, but I had my moments where I was like, I really like this and I really want to like this, but instead of being a like 1 to 3 game of the year kind of game to me, maybe it's more like a 7 to 10. And I've started to kind of make peace with the fact that like I like this game. It's one of my favorites this year, no doubt. But maybe it's not the like mind-blowing thing. And then about 2/3 of the way through the story, when some big stuff starts happening, I went from I loved the rest of it from a story perspective. It just started to blow my mind. And maybe that's because I have an investment in Spider-Man, but and then like I was like in tears by the end of it. Like it really goes places that are, and that's kind of what I'm getting at when I say, and I hadn't actually gotten to that point when we were talking last week, but that's why I think it is so much more than those Arkham games, because they're from a perspective of like activities, definitely I can see how you would say like, well, it's very similar because there are a lot of video game activities you do in Spider-Man, but the narrative and the story, like in Batman, it was like, gotta catch the Joker. And in Spider-Man,
That was a good Batman voice. Hey, plus.
it's like, it just is so much more. There's so much more that Peter learns and that like you kind of experience across a sort of range of emotional territory that I think is a lot more, makes it a lot more transcendent of like its medium than something like Batman does.
I think that, I mean, knowing where I'm at in the story, I feel like I get what you're coming from, but at the same time, it's still probably it's still probably a top 5 of the year for me so far. And I think that the very video gamey bits of it are hitting me in a very specific way that feel very good. And it's one of those things where I totally understand where people have been coming from, basically saying it's like, it's very open world game, like not standard, but it's like, you know, it fits into a lot of open game tropes, open world game tropes. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like it's very much the kind of perfect way, like representation of those tropes for me. So I can't really be mad about that. My weird video game comparison that I've been doing lately, which makes 0 sense, and I realize it, is Saints Row 4, because it's just like, because I love Saints Row 4, but because it has
That's
a similar
the best
kind of
superhero game. What the fuck are people talking Infamous Second Son? What the fuck?
But I mean, it has the same superpower stuff, has the very similar, like, it's all in one city, and the traversal mechanics feel very, very good, but Spider-Man's feel a lot better than Saints Row 4 ever did. But it just feels very polished and fun to just run around the city and take weird photos and, you know, like jump around and collect backpacks. And the line where he's just like, I want a lifetime supply of backpacks. There's one in one of them. That made me laugh so loud. I was like, good one game. I was wondering where he got all the backpacks. But it even just like I just feel like the activities are all varied enough that I'm not pissed off at any of them yet. And I am enjoying them all well enough so that it's like, the open worldy bits kind of sustain me, but then I also like the story, and I have a weird like love for Mary Jane Watson, so I'm like I love her depiction in this game, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I think that she is written very well.
Yes.
And that relationship is maybe my favorite part of that game.
Oh, it's very
very sweet, and I get very, like, I'm already very attached to it, and but I feel like it's like one of the best depictions I've seen of Mary Jane, so I'm excited about that. And Aunt May is really great too. So it's like, I feel like it's one of those games where I totally understand where if one aspect fell flat for somebody, that I would totally get it. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, all these little aspects are kind of working really well for me. So that's been really nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, can I say, like, if there were that many backpacks left around New York, how
People would
quickly?
notice.
Oh my god! Like,
Some of them aren't even like that, like on top of a building. Some of them are just like, oh, it's by a dumpster.
yeah, like the bomb
Yeah.
squad would have been called like a million times already. Like, we're
Although
very
I-
suspicious of left.
They have
packages
surveillance
here.
towers. They know they're Spider-Man.
You
Yeah,
see
the thing
something,
that I
say
find-
something.
They're
The
covered
thing that I
in
find
lead.
funny is looking up the social media feed in there, and there's like one tweet that I saw in there that was like, "Spider-Man's stealing a lot of backpacks. Is he okay? Does he need money?"
Well, no,
I mean,
yes.
he does, but like, it's fine.
Okay, well, now that Erica has had her day in court with Spider-Man, time to move on to our next trial with Allison.
Oh, trial. Alex and I are going to talk about this, I bet, because we both played the Trials Rising closed beta. I was talking about it a little bit before the stream. It had a couple of little hiccups getting started with playing it. First,
Did
it
you
was
set
actually like
CPU priority to high?
no, but it was playing. I was mentioning I've been playing it on PC, and I have a laptop that's like kind of mid-tier gaming. It's like it was basically the best laptop I could get for under $1,000 a couple of years ago. So it's like it's not what I choose to play with a lot of AAA games, but it does the job. But like I pulled up Trials and I was like, man, why is this game like not playing right? And it's sluggish, and but it was playing off of the inexplicably off of the integrated graphics instead of the graphics card. But once it started, and then also there was a kind of widely spread glitch where on the fourth track, it basically wouldn't let you win. Or it would let you win, but it wouldn't let you fulfill your contract. So it wouldn't let you pass on. So that was frustrating. But beyond that, it's been fun to play around in. It's very much Trials. Like it's like I feel like that's the best like way to describe it. As if you've played Trials and you like Trials, it's certainly more Trials, but it's
How
a
have
very
they not put out Trials Tribulations?
No.
oh yes please, I love that terrible pun. Give it to me.
Traculations? I don't even know.
Oh no.
Why hasn't there been a Phoenix Wright and Trials crossover?
Wow.
If I could play
You just come
Phoenix
up and
Wright
jump on your
in,
bike. Yeah, and it just says objection in the background as you're at the peak of the jump, and then you fall off and die.
They're gonna put it. Is this game coming to Switch? There's gonna be an amiibo. Right, amiibo.
this would be pretty fun on Switch, but I'd say that about every game.
Except no, it wouldn't, because those controllers are awful.
You know,
Mind them.
You only
I
need
don't
the-
mind them.
it's fine. You just need the R2 equivalent and the L2 equivalent and the analog stick. You're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like using for Trials. I like having like the analog triggers to get
That's true. That makes sense.
more control to feather that throttle.
I bet it's
So-
real good on Xbox One. with
So
those-
one thing Allison
Yeah,
was
I've been using
mentioning.
an Xbox One controller for PC, and that felt really good.
Yeah, but yeah, one thing Allison was mentioning. One thing they changed. If you guys have played old Trials games, the gate to get to new levels was always how many medals you have. But now the gate is completing these contracted challenges. So it's like, okay, by the time you get to the end of this track, do 4 front flips or spend 5 seconds upside down, like that kind of stuff. Like
Yeah.
you can get a gold, but if you don't complete the contracts, then you don't actually unlock the next levels. So
That seems maybe like a. Does it seem like the contracts get harder as you go on, or is it like just their like daily contracts or something?
no, they're set in stone. It's what locks you, it's what gates your progression. But I would say the levels
basically
get harder.
Like, yeah, it's basically like you have specific sponsors, and so it's basically like, oh, the sponsor is sponsoring you through playing, and it wants you to do this, and then you might get to a harder one, I guess, and playing this. But I think it adds a lot of life to the tracks, because the first one was like, oh, we want you to, it might be like finish it super quickly, but then another one might be on the same track and be like, do 5 wheelies, or you can only crash 4 times to make while finishing this track, or spend a certain amount of time in the air, do a certain number of front flips. So that it definitely adds some life to the tracks instead of just completing them, which has been fun.
I would agree. I think a lot of the challenges are good, but I've actually had a lot of problems specifically with the front and back flip ones. I don't know, how far have you gotten, Allison? Like, have you gotten to medium tracks, hard tracks?
I've gotten to medium tracks. I haven't gotten much further than that. There's the challenge to get to Europe.
Yep.
In past, I've done some of the Europe stuff, but I haven't really gotten too much farther.
So one thing I should say, this beta is actually really big. Like, there's a lot of tracks.
There's a lot of stuff to do.
Like you're in Europe. I am currently in Asia and Africa, which is like the hard and extreme tracks. And when you start getting to the harder and extreme tracks, like, the challenges are still cool, but I feel like they kind of get a little bit unfair because. So let's say, for example, it's one of my challenges is on this track that says do 4 front flips and 4 back flips. On the easier tracks, that's super easy because you're getting tons of airtime. On this one, you don't get much airtime at all. So getting those flips, you have to kind of play the track over and over and figure out where you can actually do them. But there's this one thing it does where I think it's actually a really, really bad design choice, where it's like, okay, let's say there's one checkpoint at the top of the hill and one checkpoint at the bottom of the hill. So if you do your front flips and you get 2 front flips and you land at that next checkpoint, okay, you've got 2 front flips done. So you go a little bit past that checkpoint and you fall over, like you crash or whatever. So you have to restart at the previous checkpoint, like that second one at the bottom of the hill. It takes those front flips you did away.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, you could have just done like 30 front flips and then landed at the checkpoint, and then we would have counted that. No. But like the fact that you got past that checkpoint and then it took those away was just like, oh god, because this level's so hard. So
yeah, I've mine have so far been pretty easy, to the point where my biggest issues were the ones where it's like you can only crash 5 times and then do 5 front flips or whatever, and my urge with those challenges was to try to get rid of them right away, which is not a good urge with some of these tracks, because because the first hill might be like only give you a little bit of air, so I'm just like, time to do some front flips, and then I'd crash and it would be disastrous. But I feel like that could get kind of potentially frustrating in some of the harder tracks, but it hasn't been too much of an issue for me yet, but I'm not as far as you.
But yeah, the game is really good though. Like, I've played all the Trials games so far, including the Flash one, and I think this one is significantly better than Fusion.
Cool.
I thought Fusion was okay, but like with the whole trick system and stuff, it just felt kind of.
I didn't like Fusion.
Yeah, like I thought until you got to the trick system, I thought Fusion was good. Then as soon as it asked you to do stuff like, oh, like do these specific tricks in the air, and it just felt like garbage. I was just like, no.
Yeah.
But this game feels more akin to like Trials HD or maybe Trials Evolution, but better than both of those. I would say it's actually probably, in terms of like all the Trials games, it's probably my favorite so far. But its difficulty ramp gets really, really it gets hard really fast. Like
that's cool.
I was impressed by how hard. Like at first, I'm like, okay, this is pretty easy, and then it did get kind of challenging midway, or through some of the stuff to get to Europe. It took a little bit of effort.
Yeah, when you get to Asia, man, some of those are nuts. But there's some amazing like level design. Like, that's something that I've always loved about Trials, is kind of its style and its attitude. Like, when you hit a big jump and your guy or lady just goes woo, it's just screaming. Like, and like getting to the end of the levels and you just blow up. Like, that kind of stuff has always been really funny. But there's like really amazing level design, which is pretty crazy considering this is their 4th game. Like, there's some really creative stuff. Like, one of them is you're on an airplane that's like a cargo plane that is like going down, like it's like on fire and stuff. So occasionally you'll hit like I don't know, turbulence or something like that, and then everything will just kind of like, you'll be like in zero gravity for like a second and a half. Like, everything, all the cargo and stuff will start floating for a little bit, then slam down. Like
It's cute.
it's really cool, and they make really good use of physics in this game. Like it's just, yeah, it's really excellent so far. I'm definitely gonna pick it up.
Oh, for sure. Me too. It just feels very, very good to play. And I don't know if I actually played the Flash one, but I definitely played a lot of Flash games like this back in the day when I had like zero money and played a lot of Flash games. And there's something really just very satisfying about the core kind of physicsy gameplay of it. So it's very fun.
Yeah, no, it's comes heavily recommended.
You mentioning like zero gravity stuff. Has Trials ever gone to the moon?
I don't remember. I feel like there's been low gravity stuff in Trials, but I don't remember if it was on the moon.
And then, if seems to be going to the continents, what if the last level is on the moon, the 8th continent?
What if it's secretly
That'd be
Wolfenstein
sweet.
2?
Or what if in Trials the Earth was flat?
Well, I mean, it is in reality too, so it'd be a pretty, it's accurate.
Trials is the most realistic video game.
But I don't know if, I think you can still sign up, like at the time of recording this podcast, you can still sign up and probably get in.
It looks like the official release is February next year.
Yeah, I think
Wow,
they pushed
that's
it. It was
longer
supposed to
than
be
I thought.
it was supposed to be later this year, but they pushed it.
Yeah.
But I
was
think
December.
if you can still get into the beta, do it. It's
totally.
free. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been playing a lot of Spider-Man today, but after talking about this, I might have to go play more Trials because that was really fun.
They talked a lot at E3 about like the Trials University, Trials U or whatever it was, like the tutorial stuff. Is any of that in the beta, or is it just like figure it out
No,
yourself?
none of that's in the beta.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that.
Oh, it has loot boxes.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, the first time it popped up, I was like, oh no.
So wait, do you have to like drive over it to open them?
No. So you have a persistent level for your character, and every time you gain a level, you gain a loot box. And there's also I forget what they call them, like the challenges. Do you remember what they're called? Like the challengers. So they're like, there's going to be these specific ghosts that you have to beat on this specific track.
Yeah.
That gives you a different, like, higher tier of loot box that has, like, legendary items. But, like, it's all cosmetic, obviously. And, like, there's some pretty great stuff in there. Like, one of them is an emote that you can do that's a dab. So, obviously, I was really into that. There's another one.
I'm glad you saw that because I was definitely, I went into a thing where everybody else was dabbing and I wanted to send it to you.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
so
like
good.
You dab while riding the motorcycle. When
No.
do you?
It's ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's during, like, the loading screen where you see all your competitors. So they're just standing there, like, dabbing.
What
like,
if
and
it was they were in the air and they were just like boom, snap
pretty
it
good
out?
too. But
You don't like a trig system, but you like that.
yeah, if you
make
could
an
dab,
exception
that'd
for
make it
dabs.
better. But one of the things I have is on top of my helmet, I have a little tiny Shiba Inu that just kind of sits there.
Oh,
So it's like really weird stuff. So it's not that bad.
Well, that sounds fun. And in the shadow of that, the back end of this podcast, I'm going to talk about the new Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which that's a Tomb Raider-esque Tomb Raider game, or at least based on, it's like, compared to the most recent 2 Tomb Raider games, it's more of that. What is nice about it is you start off and you have all the abilities, or you have like the abilities from the previous games. Like you have the rope arrows, you have the fire arrows. You're not like, oh, I have to like find some rope. Like she has that. She has gained these abilities in the past, and so it doesn't feel like, okay, now I got to ramp up again and like learn all this stuff.
Cool.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Plays how you expect if you've played those games. So like a lot of people have been talking about Laura's characterization in this game. Like a lot of the reviews either seem to really like it or think she's like really flat. I just got to like the hub area. Like you get to a village and you kind of branch out from the village to go to different places. And Laura's kind of a monster, it seems. And like you got that impression from the previous games where like she was just murdering people like straight up. Without, like the first game, it was like survival. She was like strung up and she had to like get out and like fight for survival. Second game, you know, she was a little more murderous, but it was definitely like a, you know, I'm protecting these indigenous people or whatever, and like trying to stop them from getting this mythical artifact. But now she just likes to kill.
So she's really following the Nathan Drake trajectory.
Actually, the trajectory she followed in the old Tomb Raider games too.
I have not played much of the old Tomb Raider games, but Nathan Drake, he kept like the happy-go-lucky, like, oh, haha, whoops, kind of like, you know, like he was like the same guy the whole way through. Like, you know, he kind of learned to curb his destructive stuff towards the end, theoretically. That's at least the idea at the end of Uncharted 4. This seems to be maybe going in the same direction. I don't know. It's hard to say. A lot of people, pretty early on, there's like a exchange between you and Jonah, her friend. He was in the first game, maybe in the second game, but he's been going along with you on this quest to stop Trinity, organization that is bent on finding mythical artifacts and reshaping the world. He's like, it's not all about you. You didn't cause this. You don't know you caused this. Stop making everything about you. And everyone was like criticizing Laura for like doing that, but literally like right before that happens, the bad guy is like, you did this. Why did you take this thing? Now the world's going to be destroyed unless I fix it and go and do this stuff. So it's like she's getting mixed messages. So I can understand why she might be confused.
Wait, world is going to be destroyed?
Yeah, maybe. That is basically the implication.
What? Are you uncovering some like lost like ultra nukes or what?
Remember in Assassin's Creed when the sun was going to explode?
I mean,
I think it was there was like a sunspot, or I don't know, like one of those things. I don't know.
Keep in mind, in Tomb Raider 4, like the original Tomb Raider 4, the fourth released Tomb Raider game, the stakes were that an ancient Egyptian god was going to come back to life and devour the earth. So like
that is not off.
Tomb Raider games have always they tend to escalate as they progress through the series, and like there's a game called Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness that came out after Tomb Raider 4 that was not good, but that I played a lot of because I played every single Tomb Raider game when I was younger. And in Angel of Darkness, she was like, you think she dies at the end of Tomb Raider 4, and then she comes back in Angel of Darkness, and she's like edgy, and it's like she like started listening to like Morrissey or something. She's like mad all the time, and she's like slitting people's throats, like museum guards. Like you sneak up behind museum guards and kill them and stuff. Yeah, so she definitely always has an arc of early games, naive, just trying to survive, middle of the series, like justifying the fact that maybe she's doing maybe she could not seek this kind of conflict out. She could stop, but she likes it. And then by the end of her arc, she's always like, no, I do just fucking kill people because that's where I'm at. So I don't know. It sounds pretty authentic to the older games.
It's not helped that feeling of like, wow, she's just a monster. It's not helped by the photo mode where you can just make her like have this really stupid grin on her face at any moment.
She assassinates people.
Just like as she like chokes them out or like stabs them in the neck. It's really funny, but like because you can do it at any moment.
I just think that like I guess maybe that's why I'm less. Of course, there are representation issues that have been talked about around this game, and I don't really have the ability to go into those because I haven't played any of the Tomb Raider reboot games. I will at some point because I did really like that series when I was younger, but I don't necessarily have an issue with the idea of her becoming a bad person. As long as she's becoming a bad person in ways that I won't like it if she's like a racist, but it sounds like any of that kind of stuff is like accidental and not actually a conscious choice that they're making with her character. If it's just that she's killing people indiscriminately, like
I think
we play
it's more
Hitman.
than I think it's more that she's like a destructive. I don't know, but she is very like she has no empathy. She's kind of like a sociopath,
right? Like Agent 47. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But yeah, I mean, Agent 47. He's supposed to be, and he says, "Oh man, I'm just like."
But I'm
know.
saying that's how Lara Croft is
Maybe.
supposed to be
Yeah.
too. I think that's more the way she's supposed to be than a lot of people realize.
Yeah, I do not disagree that like I think that story can work. But if you're like not like, wow, she's just like a terrible person. If you just kind of like if you think she's supposed to be like a great person, then I think that kind of gets harder to like handle. Maybe
I just don't know what. I see what you're saying too. I'm not really arguing with you.
Yeah.
I'm more arguing with people outside of people who haven't engaged with the series. I think often their response is like, "Whoa, she's dark." When it's like, well, yeah, she's been dark since like the 90s. That's always been.
The story doesn't like because the story of the games doesn't really address it at all. It might like in this game because like they are like you're like narcissistic, everything is about you, you can't stop this, but like just the way she like just indiscriminately murders people, and then you get into a point where Jonah is like has a guy down and like you're defending yourself and he like hits the guy with like a pistol, and then Laura's like, stop, after you like choked out and like killed like 4 people, but Laura's like, no, don't kill him. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's always kind of been a subtext in the older games, and I think it maybe is accidental, and it maybe that's accidental here too, but I always kind of read it as like she doesn't really, it's almost like she's like disassociative or something. Like when she's murdering people, she doesn't really seem to think about it, and then when she's confronted with other acts of violence that she's not perpetrating, she's like, oh wow. And that's kind of always been an aspect of her character that I don't know how intentional it is, but I've always bought it as she's got some issues. And yeah, so I don't know. Sounds interesting.
Yes, I look forward to seeing. I am intrigued to see how it goes based on like the writing and how it's gone so far. I can see where some people take issues with things like the immersive mode, which has everyone speak in their native tongue, but then Laura's like, people speak Spanish to Laura and she just responds in English. And so, what? Okay. You probably know Spanish, but it's like a weird. And they understand her because, of course, they do, because she speaks English.
What sounds weird to me about it is that she doesn't know how to speak Spanish. The part where she speaks English to them and they speak their language to her doesn't sound that crazy to me, because like I have been in those situations in like France and stuff where like people understand English and I understand French, but can't really speak each other.
Peruvian jungle, and like they could reasonably know English. People can learn things, but you're in like rural ass Peru, and like all these old people probably don't speak English, like probably not. So the fact that everyone just like that you just speak English to, like if it was like broken phrasing or anything like that, they were like trying to communicate, or like a character who was there to help.
It seems like she should have just spoke Spanish. She's a world traveling archaeologist. She has to know how to speak Spanish. There's no way.
So
they left that out.
Beyond weird story stuff and characterization, murdery stuff, how's the game?
It's like I said at the beginning, it's another one of those games. I think it's fun. I really enjoyed the first 2 games.
It's not like a massive evolution or anything like that.
No, like I said, you start off with like the rope arrows and the fire arrows. Like you do have a moment where you get everything taken away, but then you pretty quickly get it back. It's they do the abilities, and then they go, oh, where did it all go?
So it's
you gotta get your stuff back. I never played Prototype, but within like an hour of losing that stuff, you have it mostly all back. So yeah, it's like if you the tombs are are really good, I think. Like, there are a lot of challenge tombs and crypts, and I think the puzzles are fun and they're pretty substantial. In like the first one, they were pretty tiny. Like, they were kind of spread out, but they were like a single room or something, you know, pretty small. In the newer one, they're a bit bigger, and you unlock like craftable boots or like top parts, you know, unlockable boots and blouses. And you use they give you abilities like, oh, collect double materials from like this kind of collectible, or like be harder to detect, things like that. So I think it's pretty solid. Just if you have performance issues, CPU priority to high on the PC.
Oh. I mean, I have performance issues, but they're... Never mind.
No.
CPU priority to high on your penis.
No.
Eric.
And with that,
Actually, before we totally like,
also Forza Horizon 4, that demo seems good. I've had performance issues with that. I mostly fixed it with CPU priority to high, but then the game crashes sometimes.
But it looks like the issues you were having, other people were having too.
Yeah.
So I am kind of curious. We don't have to go in depth, but like, I would be interested to know what everyone's like game that they're most looking forward to as we kind of hit the end of the year is.
I might have to say Smash.
Yeah.
Now let me look at a list of games.
Yeah, I'm looking at a list
yeah,
of
that's
games
what
as
I'm doing
well.
right now too.
So
So I'm kind of thinking of like off the top of your dome, the game that you know is coming.
I don't.
We don't have to get
There's
too
a
analytical.
lot of games.
I
Mine
can tell.
probably then is honestly like the Katamari.
I was looking up.
No, that's fair.
Is Katamari Damacy coming out this
Yeah, it's
year?
December
Oh yeah,
7th.
that's a fair reason.
And it's like that's
Yeah.
honestly probably it for you. My new game is probably still Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but Katamari Damacy is I'm so excited.
I'm
No.
4 fucking Steins Gate games coming out in 4 days. What the fuck?
no. There's Steins Gate Ultimate.
Oh, no, never mind. There's 3 Steins Gate games. One's Star Control. I thought it was Steins Gate. Steins Gate 8-bit, Steins Gate Elite, Steins Gate Linear Bounded Phenogram.
So that's all part of Elite. It's just they're
Okay.
probably going to be separate downloads. But
one is Switch only, one is
Yeah.
PS4 only, one is Nintendo Switch, PS4, and Vita.
the 8-bit one is probably the one for 3. All 3 of them, right?
Nope, 8-bit is Switch. Elite is the one that has all 3.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, Elite, and
Or
then
it's
the
not all
8.
3.
Yeah, the 8-bit one exists. But anyway, we can get into that another time. I can tell you which games I'm not excited for because I don't care. Red Dead.
Yeah,
But Mega Man 11 seems like it could be neat. I don't know.
I've never been a Mega Man fan. I'm excited for Forza.
I feel like I should probably finish Life is Strange for Life is Strange 2.
Oh yeah. Is that this? Is it okay? Does the
Yeah.
first episode come out
It's,
within this year?
This month,
yeah,
I
it's the
think.
27th.
Sick.
No, wow.
I think people have kind of not been saying much about Just Cause 4.
It's because is there a lot to say? I never finished any of those games, but I don't know.
It looked very good at PAX, and what I heard was that it's definitely like when you start playing it, you go, "Oh, right, I really like these games." That's the. I didn't get a chance to play the demo, but that's what I kept hearing from people was like, "Wait, no, that's a really cool game, and people should be excited about it." So,
Oh, I didn't realize Hitman 2 is
yeah, right.
here too.
Holy wait, what the fuck? That team game from the Yakuza team, Judge Eyes, is apparently this year. What the
Oh,
fuck?
cool! I didn't know that.
That looks rad.
Yeah, that does look rad. Darksiders 3 is going to be this year.
Yeah, it was fun. I played it at PAX.
Oh, okay, the Western release.
Well, like, do
is
you want to play another game where you
2019,
use a whip sword and hit X a bunch of times? Like,
Yes.
it's fun. That demo was a solid 7 out of 10. Who knows what the full game is going to be? But like, I don't know. It's a dark side.
In terms of indie games, I'm really sad that Minako's Night Market was delayed to 2019. I'm really
Yeah.
excited for that game, but hopefully Ooblets is still coming out in 2018. And if not, I'm just still looking forward to that game because it's still the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Indie games, I was really looking forward to one that got delayed too, Necro Barista.
I met the
I
designer.
don't know what that is, but I want to play it just like from that title.
It's like a cinematic visual novel. It looks very pretty and very
Yeah, it
interesting.
has a very cool style to it.
Yeah. The dev on it was super nice too.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is just reading this description about like it's like a visual novel, but you serve coffee. Did anybody play VA11 Hale?
Yeah.
No, I want to at some point.
Very
It's a good
good.
game, yeah, and I really liked that mix of being a bartender and having a visual novel. So I'm actually now I'm really looking forward to this game too.
Watch the
Yeah, I would
cinematic
say-
trailer if you can, because it's a very, very cool style it has.
On the indie front, I'm definitely most excited about the Outer Wilds still, which I've talked about on and off here and there. I'm not convinced that's going to hit this year, but they still claim it will. They don't have a day though, so that's why I'm not convinced. But they're also an indie studio, so they could release it this week and just say it's out. And
You said you played Below at PAX, right?
yes.
Does
Is that this year?
seem- I don't know. That's why I was gonna
It's-
ask. Like, did it seem like there was any hint to like maybe?
I forgot that we didn't talk about that. That game is fucking wild. That game is like, it's like Zelda Dark Souls, I guess. That's like the closest I would like Link to the Past and Dark Souls. But they don't tell you how anything works in that game. And I was talking to, I forget his name, but the lead designer on it was telling me that like, that's the idea and they're not going to. So like there's like survival game elements, there's crafting in it, there's like some light mechanic, there's an experience mechanic with like leveling up skill stuff and stuff, but like none of it makes any sense at first and it doesn't tell you how to do any of it. And it's also a roguelike because you die and you start back at the beginning. So that game is really, really weird. It seems like it's ready to go from what I played. The demo I think was just the whole game, but they ask you to stop eventually. They had it set up with like beanbag chairs and they were kind of watching everybody play it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like the release at Wikipedia is still listed as TBA 2018. So
That could come out whenever.
Is
Yeah.
Super Meat Boy Forever, is that still coming out this year?
I thought it came out. I don't have any interest in playing it, but
it says it's again the initial release date is still listed as 2018, but
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
Lots of question marks.
What's
Year
yours?
Zero, was that weird kung fu game? Like
Sorry,
kung
which
fu
one?
rat
I don't
game? Year Zero?
Oh, I'm not sure.
No, it's something else. That was BioFreak. No,
Bioforge?
Biomutant.
Biomutant, yeah. Bioforge is a different game.
Biomutant.
It's the best.
Biomutant Year Zero is turn-based XCOM combat with a
Yeah.
duck with a gun.
Yeah, it's not really. Doesn't look like my thing.
Okay.
It's based on an existing IP, I believe a British one. I can't remember what exactly. It's like a comic book or a miniatures game. I should know the answer to this, but yeah,
It doesn't matter. I don't. Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I don't care. It's a tabletop RPG. That's what it is.
Are any of you going to play that My Heroes One Justice or whatever?
I'm interested in it.
Yeah, me too.
It looks
no,
really
I'm
good. It
not.
looks, I think, is it made by the same team who did Dragon Ball Z Fighters?
I don't think so. That was a Bandai joint. Let's see.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Either way, that game does look really fantastic. Like, it looks like a good representation of all of the characters and their abilities and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's more that I care about the IP, so I will play it. You know.
That's fair.
Erica, on
Yes?
that note, even though I know you might be AFK and you're kind of taking pictures of kitty cats or something, have
Well,
you
we
caught
had a
up
board
to?
game set up and pizza's now rolling all over it and destroying it.
Beautiful. So,
You know.
have you caught up to My Hero, by the way?
No, Xavier. When we gonna watch My Hero Academia?
Damn it.
He's too busy dealing with pizza.
Yeah, it's extremely good, by the way.
That's all I want to do. He won't let me watch it without him. So then all he wants to do is play board games. So and I've had it with board games.
Wait, last week weren't you kind of high on board games? You're like, yeah, this is pretty good.
I've been playing at least one every single day, and I'm done with them. I'm done with them. I am broken by this game. I don't remember what it's called. What's it called? Gaia Project. There are so many things going on. I can't keep track of all of them. It's too much, and I'm done.
Allison, I have to show you something.
Yeah.
So this model came out this week.
That is beautiful. Oh my god, I want
Watch
it.
the Escape Craft. It's its own
I
ship.
want it.
All right,
Yeah,
so
it's real
for
good.
audio description or visual description for our audio listeners, he's holding up a big purple dildo.
No.
And it's Escape Craft. No, it's the new it's the new X-wing model of
Where's the
Millennium
escape
Falcon from
pod?
Silver.
I'm going to try to. I'm hopefully if I can leave this cold Fantasy Flight. I live an annoying distance from the Fantasy Flight Game Center, but like a doable distance from public transit. So I'm going to try to go on Wednesday to their launch event for X-Wing. So we'll see.
I live in an annoying distance from the Fantasy Flight Game Center, in that it's a 2.5-day drive away.
See, for me, it's like just far enough away that it's like it's not some place I would go to normally, but it is doable by public transit. So I will probably go out of my way to go to their launch event, because I feel like if there's any place for me to learn how to play X-Wing, it's probably there. So I'll probably go be like, teach me X-Wing, please.
Speaking of X-Wing, aren't you stepping away pretty soon, Pat?
Yes, I'm going to go play X-Wing in
Yes.
10 minutes.
So with that, we're gonna wrap up so Pat can go be a fucking nerd.
Yeah. I'll send lots of pictures exclusively to Andre.
Oh, good. I love X-Wings. Actually,
I am not
X-Wing-
flying a single X-Wing today.
Are you gonna play an A-wing?
Nope.
Y-wing.
Who here's heard of a Z95? That's what I thought.
Nerd.
Bad Dragon.
Who here has heard of a Star Viper?
Oh, that's
feel
from
like
Bad
I've
Dragon.
heard of
That
it.
is 100% a Bad Dragon product.
Did you know that Bad Dragon products all just have people's names? It's like Andy.
Anyway, where the flight sequences in the new Star Wars movies are actually my favorite part. Like in the Force Awakens with when they like get in the Millennium Falcon. Oh man, that part's so
That
cool.
is a sweet sequence.
Anyway,
Anyway.
that's gonna do it for this week. You can find us on the internet in many places. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at bad-dragon.com/pretzel.
We weren't going to do this. Kidding.
Okay. And Alex,
Okay, I got to go to that website now.
have you never been?
No, I mean, well, no, for one, but God damn it. Finish the podcast.
Allison?
You can find me on Twitter at WRITERSERENYTY. And also you can find me there on Instagram at the same name. And I really don't promote my Instagram, but I was just in Canada for the last week. And I was in Montreal, Quebec City, and I took a lot of pictures. So if you want to see cool pictures, then go to my Instagram too.
Okay. Erica?
I'll vouch for her pictures. They were very cool. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Erica, spelled AIREHCUH, and you can listen to my other podcast, Tempered Expectations.
And best boy Pat?
Baddragon.com/pretzel is a 404.
It's spelled with an A, Pertzal.
Okay, we'll figure this out later. You can find me at gamingconfidence.com and on social media as @JesterPC.
Okay, and you can find me at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W on Twitter. Having a good time changing my CPU priority. So that is going to do it for episode 37 of Gaming Fix. We're getting up there, guys. We're almost
Yeah, I
there.
know.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do something special for a year episode.
Do we count a year as like in January or December?
Probably December. I don't know.
Okay, the Game of the Year one. That was
Yeah, that'll be something special.
yeah.
I'm actually
That's a
really
good
looking
point.
forward to it.
I guess since we started as a game with the Game of the Year podcast, like every year we're just kind of like, doing the Game of the Year thing for our anniversary celebrations.
This is just we're building up to Game of the Year every year, all the time.
Right.
I mean, this year I was like hoping this year was going to be like a quieter year because last year there were so many games. But I feel like the longer this year has gone on, I'm like, dang, there's not a lot of games this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to chat about how we're gonna handle some of that stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway,
Anyway,
And if I'm going to have to like rush to finish
we'll
God of War
figure it out.
before the
We'll
end of
figure
the
it
year.
out.
Yeah,
You
okay.
haven't finished God of War. You should finish God of War.
I'm gonna do that.
I need to do that.
Anyway,
All right,
okay.
anyway,
Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one. Enjoy your X-Wings. Stay safe. Don't do drugs. Do some drugs. I don't know.
do the good ones.
Spider-Man.
Just do the good
Ibuprofen.
drugs.
Ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Don't do a drug that Spider-Man would
don't too
arrest you
much.
for.
He would arrest you for any drugs that are not prescription.
That's not true. That's not true.
You know, all those dealers were just like selling weed.
Oh, I
In a
don't
ski
want to
mask.
believe that. I don't want to believe that at all.
Or it's like somebody just genuinely providing healthcare because of the U.S. healthcare system being terrible.
Spider-Man asking for people's medical marijuana cards before he beats them up.
So don't do drugs.
Anyway, that's gonna do it again. Go long. That's our motto here.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah, it has been for a while.
I'm more of a girth guy.
No. Goodbye.
Okay, that is definitely gonna do it. Goodbye, everybody.
Set your CPU
Bye.
priorities to high, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.